Welcome to It's All Geek to Me, a podcast where two friends experience popular nerdy franchises for the first time. My name is Leah, and this season my co-host Kelli and I will be traveling to a galaxy far, far away as Kelli experiences Star Wars for the very first time. And I'm the expert. Let's dive in.
And we're back.
With the next episode.
Part 2 of Episode VIII.
The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi, that's what it is.
Kelli never remember.
I don't know, because I just don't believe that she's the Last Jedi, that's all.
Well, it's not that she's the Last Jedi, it's that Luke believes that he's the Last Jedi.
I think they should have named it Rey and Kylo fanfiction.
Now you're seeing where the fanfiction comes in.
Now I get it.
I'm curious your thoughts, though, on if it feels romantic to you or not.
We'll get there.
Well, we'll get there. Yeah. But that is the question I will pose to you later. Stay tuned, listeners.
Fair. Yeah, now you have to listen to the whole episode.
Ooh.
So we start off with these intercutting shots of Rey and Kylo, speaking of. And we have Rey waking up in her hut on Jedi Island. And Kylo is getting checked out by a droid. It looks like they're fixing his face.
Yeah.
And they're both looking off, and you could sense that they're both kind of feeling something. But then Rey grabs her blaster and shoots, and then Kylo jumps up, and they're in two different places.
Yeah.
So it's a very cool moment. But then Rey realizes that she is alone in this hut. She's just shot a hole through the brick wall.
I love how Kylo reacted to, like, he truly thought he got shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
It was actually really cool. And that was the first moment that I was like, oh?
What is this?
What is this? And then they both start running around. So he like runs out of the little med bay that he's in, and she runs out of her hut. And then they seem to see each other. And Kylo puts out his arm and he's like, you'll bring Luke Skywalker to me, because he's got to take this opportunity, right?
Yeah, to use the Force.
And then he realizes that or I don't know if he realizes, but he thinks that she must not be doing this because the effort would kill her.
I like that little theorizing that he's going through. He's working out in his head. Why is this happening? How is this happening? I thought that was cool.
What a totally different character he is in his interactions with Rey.
Yeah.
It is enthralling.
I know. He just becomes someone totally different. But I think it's because they're both dealing with this struggle right now. Is they both want something from each other. He wants the darkness from her, and she wants the light from him.
And even though Rey is firmly in good guy category, I think they're both struggling with the light and the darkness within themselves, as we learn a little bit more about.
And I have a theory about that, but I'll wait until we see our old friend, Master Yoda, to explain it.
I was so happy to see Yoda. I actually teared up a little bit.
Oh, I love that.
I love Yoda.
Yeah.
I can't believe I ever made fun of him.
I can't believe that either.
The best character in the franchise is Yoda.
Oh my gosh. Love that.
So anyway, then Kylo keeps kind of talking, and he's kind of just trying to figure out what's going on. And he's like, can you see my surroundings? And then Rey is she has such an emotional response to him that she immediately gets like in this state of like flight or fight where she's like tearing up and she's like frozen up, and she's like, you're gonna pay for what you did. And he just keeps on talking, like theorizing what's going on. He's like, I can't see your surroundings, I can just see you, so it must be something else that's going on. And then Luke comes out of his hut, and Kylo is like, Luke. And then Luke is like, what's that all about? And you think for a second that he's talking about Kylo, but no, the camera turns and we see that there are these aliens that are like, why'd you shoot my hut?
And they're so cute.
And I'm so annoyed that we didn't see them at all until this section.
I know, but at least we're 2 out of 3 for cute creatures living on this island.
No, I absolutely love them.
Yeah.
And Rey was like, I was cleaning my blaster and it went off. So they're heading off to training, and she's like, who are those guys? And he's like, oh yeah, they're caretakers. They've been taking care of the island since its creation. Which, okay, let me just say, well, first of all, you did a great job splitting this up.
Thanks.
As somebody who hasn't seen it, but as a person who had a waiting period between section 1 and section 2, to me it almost feels like 2 totally different sections. And I'm like, they didn't even show them the first movie, which was still the same movie.
Still the same movie. I will say, for anyone listening, typically we watch watch the movies in one day. This one we did not watch in one day. And I think of all the movies to break up into sections that are episodic, this one is the best because it kind of quells my fury a little bit. Because you get the whole side quest that happens.
There's a lot of good that happens in this section. There's also a lot of infuriating stuff that happens in this section.
Yeah, I'm glad that we're on the same page.
But also, I'm getting a little taste now of what it feels like for any of our audience who is watching at the same time as us.
Yeah.
And stopping.
Yeah, stopping and then coming back. Because, yeah, it feels like different movies, but nope, just one.
Yeah, it totally does. So anyway, they go up to one of the cliffs to train, and she's in another cavern thing, which, fun fact, by the way, after our last episode.
Oh, did you look it up?
I looked it up, yeah. We haven't posted that episode as of the recording of this. I'm sure people are going to give us answers, but in case you're not a person who reads the comments, caverns are actually a type of cave.
Ooh.
And they're specifically ones that have a specific type of formation in them. I'm not going to pronounce this right because I did not look up the pronunciation. It's called speleothems.
Oh.
Speleothems.
Speleothems.
Speleothems. Something like that.
So is this a cavern then or a cave?
So I still don't totally understand what a speleothem is, but it does require water to form.
Ooh.
And I'm like, well, this cave has water in it.
So maybe it's a cavern.
A cavern.
So, okay, so cave is the overarching word.
Yeah.
You know,
A cavern is a cave, but a cave isn't always a cavern.
kind of like a rectangle and a square.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome.
I'm a square.
I'm a circle.
So then Rey starts trying to get Luke to understand what's going on. She says that they need the Jedi back because Kylo is just too strong with the dark side of the Force. And then Luke asks her what she knows about the Force, and she's like, oh, it's a power that lets Jedi control people and make things float. And Luke is like, impressive. You got every part of that sentence wrong, which is incredible.
She knows nothing.
So then he explains basically that the Force isn't a power that you have. It's the energy that binds everything. So he makes her sit down and basically meditate. And this is another hilarious part because he's like, reach out. And then she sticks her hand out, which is obviously the wrong thing to do. And he looks super annoyed.
Not what he meant.
So then he starts just like brushing her with a leaf. And she's like, oh my gosh, I feel it. And he's like, oh, wow, you're so strong. This must be amazing. And she's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I'm feeling it. And then he smacks her with the leaf. And she's like, ow, Charlie bit me. And so then she's like, oh, you wanted me to reach out with my mind. And he's like, yeah, duh. So then he actually says something that I thought was worth writing down because you always tell me this, but he says to reach out with her feelings.
With her feelings, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Search your feelings.
So it seems like the Force is working. She can feel everything. She can feel all the balance, the light, the darkness, the peace, the war, the violence, like all sorts of stuff. And we see flashes of it that she can feel. And then Luke starts saying that the Force doesn't belong to the Jedi. And he says to say that if the Jedi die, the light dies is vanity.
Mm-hmm.
And Rey starts to feel something under the island. She says it's a dark place. And Luke says that it's part of the balance, which I find fascinating that there is darkness under this original Jedi dwelling.
Yeah.
Very cool. But she is being called by the darkness and she's getting sucked in there and it's starting to crack the rock that she's on. And Luke starts yelling to get her back, but the darkness erupts. It's like this cave.
Yeah.
It's like a circle in the ground and all this water shoots out of it and hits her. And then Luke is super upset with her and he's like, you went straight to the darkness. You didn't even try. And she says that the place had something to show her.
It's interesting. I feel like they sort of explore a different part of the dark side of the Force in this film, in the sense that in the last films, any sort of negative feeling, the Jedi were like, oh, no, you can't do any of that. That's not good. You have to only think positively. You have to get rid of all these negative feelings. But I feel like in this film, they sort of explore that the balance of the light and dark maybe can exist within the same person. It doesn't have to be this Kylo versus Rey.
Which is ironic because that's exactly how Rey and Kylo are. They're both warring within themselves.
Yeah, they both have a bit of the light and the dark. And it's like, why does it have to be one or the other? Why can't the balance exist within the individual?
So the way that I thought from previous movies was that if you even entertained the thought of the darkness, then you would go to the dark side.
Yeah, me as well, which is why I think that this approach sort of changes that.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, Rey says that she didn't see Luke while she was exploring the Force, and she realizes that he has closed himself off from it completely. And Luke says he's only seen this much raw strength once before, and it was in Ben Solo, and he said it didn't scare him enough then, but now he is scared. Oof. And I'm like, so you're just gonna let her go?
Yeah.
Seeing that she is powerful and potentially dark, you're like, yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. I don't have to deal with that.
Instead of training her, I'm just gonna let her go and destroy the world potentially.
Yes. His logic doesn't make much sense.
It doesn't make much sense. Although in the beginning of this section, I was so furious at him and thinking that his logic didn't make sense. But then once it was explained a little bit more, I started to get it a little bit. So anyway, meanwhile, back with the Resistance, Poe has gotten some people on his side, which I'm really upset about, honestly.
Do you know who the person was that he got on his side?
Yes, it was Leia's daughter, yes.
Thank you, Billy Lord. But yeah, me too. I'm also pissed about this. Why are they...
Yeah, and I feel like all of this could have just been avoided if they had come to Holdo and told her the plan. As of right now, Holdo is just doing everything that she can. She doesn't have enough information to have come up with the plan that Poe came up with.
Right, and by the time the information gets to her, it's like way too late at that point, and she like doesn't understand it. All she sees is a group of traitors who are going against her.
Yeah, and that's infuriating because they're supposed to be a team, and it's not a smart idea to withhold something because you want to be the hero instead of just working as a team and saving people's lives.
Yeah, Poe is crazy in this section.
A butthead, a big butthead.
Yeah, terrible.
So anyway, Rose and Finn are flying off, and Finn says that the fleet only has 18 hours of fuel left, so they do need to hurry. So then meanwhile, Rey and Chewie are on the Falcon and they're trying to get a hold of the Resistance, and Chewie is having a hard time with the bird hamsters just like being all over him.
The porgs.
The porgs. Why don't they say their name?
I don't know. Yeah, it's another thing where they just like don't say their name. But I love they cut to like one shot of these porgs that have made a nest in the Falcon. Yeah. They're just making their home there.
And there's one that was on the captain's chair, and I don't know if it's like his tongue that's stuck to it or something, but he's having a hard time.
I love that they're like low-key an invasive species, but they're also the cutest thing ever.
Yeah, I would let them invade.
It took them 2 seconds to be like, this is my home now. Yeah, they can come to my house. It's fine.
And then Kylo and Rey start to have another little connection moment. And Kylo is like, why is the Force connecting us? And Rey, again, she has this like visceral response to him where she's like almost tearing up and she's like super tense, and she calls him a murderous snake, which is not the best insult, to be totally honest.
Murderous snake.
And she says that he's too late and he lost because she found Skywalker. And Kylo's like, did he tell you what happened the night I destroyed his temple? And Rey's like, I know everything I need to know. And he's like, oh, yes, you do. And then she calls him a monster and he says, yes, I am. But the way he says it was great.
Oh, so good. I have to say, my favorite parts of these films are the little Force connection moments between Rey and Kylo, which is controversial.
Same.
A lot of people don't like them, but I think they're cool. I think they're really cool.
I love them. In fact,
obsessed.
At this point, I wrote in my notes, oh, okay, I get the ReyLo ship now. Oof.
Yeah. There's something there.
Oof is the way I want to describe it, but in a good way. A good oof.
It's not a likely pairing, which I think is really interesting. And this whole warring with the dark and light is compelling.
It's so compelling. And I don't know. I just like the way that Kylo is around her.
Yeah.
I still don't think he's hot, but I get it.
Yeah. And then this was interesting too, because at the end of this Force connection, when it ends, Kylo looks at his hand and it's wet. And he felt the rain on the planet that she was on.
Yeah. So meanwhile, Rose and Finn are headed out and they are going to a place called Canto Bight. And Rose said that she's heard of this place and it's the worst people in the galaxy. And it's very interesting what she defines as the worst people. But at first it's almost like a fake out because you just see a bunch of rich people on a yacht partying it up. And they go to a big old casino in town.
Yeah.
There's also a little moment, I didn't think it was important at the time, but there is one guy who I wrote down as an alien Karen is complaining about them parking on the beach illegally.
Yeah, which ended up mattering a good amount.
Yeah, it did end up mattering. So Finn loves this casino, and I wrote down literally Finn is me because I just moved to Las Vegas because I was like, I love this.
I literally was saying that Finn and Rose in the casino was me and you on the strip. You are Finn and I am Rose, where you're like, it's amazing. And I'm like, I've seen better.
Yeah, you're like, we got to get in and out. I don't want to be here. And I'm like, let's gamble.
It really felt like you and I hanging out on the strip, which I love.
Incredible. So then Rose is like, yeah, we got to find the guy with a red plom bloom, what is a plom? Is that a type of flower?
It must be.
Oh my gosh, they say it so many times.
I know. It's like, what is that? But when we see it, I guess it's a flower.
It's
not
just
that
a
that guy
flower.
matters because he's not even a character.
They could have just said like red flower, but they're like, no, it's the red plom bloom.
Plom
bloom.
Yeah, like bringing out the French. I'm assuming it's a French word.
I mean, I don't even know. You could be completely wrong. Someone's going to say it in the comments.
They're going to be like, fun fact. Yeah. No, we love the fun facts. Give them to us.
No, we do love the fun
Tell
facts,
them.
but you're wrong. So also there is this one drunk alien who thinks that BB-8 is a slot machine, which is pretty funny. So they're searching the casino. They can't find the guy with the red plum bloom, but there's like a rattling that's like an earthquake feeling situation. And they go outside and guess what? There's a big old horse race there, but they're not horses. They're fathiers.
Yeah.
So Finn is like, dude, this place is awesome. And I'm like, same Finn. I get it. I love the vibes. I love the atmosphere. And then he's like, why don't you like it here? And then Rose just completely kills the vibe.
Yeah, she does.
Just kidding. I actually immediately felt sorry for loving it so much as soon as she started talking. I was like, ooh.
But that was the point. I feel like you were supposed to be on Finn's wavelength until Rose was like, actually, these are all slaves. They're stealing all this stuff, you know.
Just for the record, that is not the case in Vegas.
Oh, yeah. No.
I just want to throw that out there.
There are not children slaves in Vegas. There are not fathier races.
Nope, none of that. Just casinos.
I've never seen a fathier.
And a lot of people enjoying themselves.
Yes.
And a lot of people probably not enjoying themselves, but it's all funny.
It's all
games.
fun. Yeah, it's all great.
Except for when Leah's there, then she's mad. She does not like the strip.
I like the food. We had great burgers, veggie burgers.
There you go.
They were really good the other night. So.
That wasn't the strip.
Whatever.
That was
it's
Fremont
close
Street.
enough.
Anywho.
La 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 la. Let's keep going.
So basically, Rose is like, look closer. He's looking through this telescope as she's telling a story, and he sees that the fathiers are being beaten by their riders with like electricity. And she says she grew up in a poor mining colony and that the First Order was doing all this cruel stuff because they were selling or buying weapons.
Basically, she's saying that the people in the casino were selling weapons.
And that's why they were rich.
To the First Order, and that's why they were rich. Yeah.
Okay. And then BB-8 comes out onto the balcony and beeps that he found the guy with the red plum bloom. And they run back in and they see a guy playing craps with a red plum bloom.
Wow. It's exactly what I pictured when I thought red plum bloom.
Exactly. Same. I was like, oh, there's the red plum bloom.
I've seen 100 of these in my life.
Good thing everyone in the casino was just wearing black and white so that we could see the red plum bloom.
Yeah.
So then they are actually stopped because Alien Karen has pointed out that they are the people who parked illegally on the beach, and it is such an eyesore. Bad for the neighborhood. So they get arrested.
Yeah, they get arrested because they illegally parked their ship. And that's wild.
You know what? It's fair. Just kidding.
Fair punishment? No, definitely not.
And actually, the red plum bloom guy's girlfriend notices the commotion as they're being taken away, and she's like, what's going on over there? And he's like, not now, baby. I'm on a roll. Also, he's mustachioed, and I don't know. I like the vibe.
I liked his silver streak through his hair. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, he looked like a little villainous. I thought he was going to have, the whole transatlantic accent and do a whole thing, but I guess we just never see him again, which is really sad because he was fun.
Dude, this whole section is like, what was the point of any of this? But anyway, you haven't finished the movie yet. Continue.
No, but I do want to point out that one of the cops literally throws BB-8 down a staircase.
I know, poor little BB.
I gasped when he hit the ground. I was like,
felt so
oh my
bad.
gosh, why would anybody do that?
It's a poor little BB-8.
So then meanwhile, we see Rey. She is doing a little morning training on a cliff, and she's using a staff at first, but then she sees the lightsaber in her pack and she turns it on. She starts fighting with it, and Luke sees her from a distance, and I guess she's doing a pretty good job. I don't know. But at one point, she slashes this giant rock in front of her in half. I am so upset about this. I can't even begin to tell you, because the rock falls down and it just decimates this cart that some of the caretakers are taking down the cliff.
Yeah, it could have killed
These guys
them.
are just trying to do their job. I don't know. It reminded me, I know I always say this, but it did remind me a little bit of Avatar with the cabbages guy.
Oh, yeah.
My cabbages.
Similar.
But I always felt really sorry for the cabbage merchant, and I feel really sorry for them. And yeah, they almost just died.
Yeah, like if they were 3 steps forward, they would have died. 1 step forward, really.
And then Rey doesn't even apologize. She just looks at them, and then she looks over and she sees Luke, and he's walking away, and she follows, and he is going to teach her lesson number 2. I don't know, did I say this in the last episode? That he said he was going to teach her 3 lessons.
Yeah, we never got lesson 3, though.
Well, not in this section.
She left before she finished her training.
Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, you're right.
She totally left. Luke left early, too. So history repeats itself.
Well, maybe he'll teach her lesson 3 a little bit later.
That's true. Possibly.
But yeah, Luke is totally ripping on the Jedi, and he's saying that at the height of their power, they allowed the Empire to form and rise, and he's blaming everybody.
And I like how he mentions Obi-Wan, not by name, but he says one of those Jedi trained Darth Vader, and Rey was like, yeah, but he trained you too. So what's your point?
And I'm so annoyed that he said that, because I honestly don't love that the blame is on Obi for Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Because he shouldn't have been a master.
Yeah, it's more on Windu and Yoda.
Yeah. Although I love Windu and Yoda.
Yeah, me too.
And I love Qui-Gon.
Qui-Gon.
He just has a great voice.
I know. He's incredible.
But yeah, Rey is arguing back, and she says that Luke saw the good in Vader and he saved him before he died, right?
Yeah.
And Luke is like telling the story of what happened with Ben, and he says that Leia trusted him with Ben, and Luke started a training temple. I don't remember the number. I think he said he had 12.
12, yeah.
And he said by the time he realized that Ben had too much darkness in him, it was too late, and he went to confront him, and Ben turned on Luke, and he guesses that Ben thought that he killed him, and then Luke woke up to the temple burning. Ben was gone, and so were a bunch of his students, and he slaughtered the rest.
Yeah.
And I did want to note that I think that this was one of Rey's visions.
Yes. And I remember thinking we saw the hand, but he was so tiny. I was like, is that Yoda? Because we heard the Yoda voice, but it was just Luke on his knees.
Him in the rubble.
Yeah. Also, they don't outright say it, but just kind of piecing the puzzle together on our own. In the last movie, they mentioned Kylo's little battalion is the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren are the students that he took with him.
Oh, that makes me sad.
Yeah, so they all went dark. Not all of them, I guess. My assumption is he gave them a choice, and if they chose the light, he killed them.
Which would you choose?
God, it depends on how I'm feeling that morning. Depends on how I slept.
That's fair. Bad dreams, dark side. Easy.
Yeah, so probably dark side.
So then Luke continues, and he says that Leia blamed Snoke, but he blames himself. And he says that he basically just blames it on the fact that he became this legend and he couldn't live up to it.
Yeah.
Which is really sad, for sure. And Rey is like, well, maybe the galaxy needs a legend.
Yeah, I love that. And for him, it's like, it just feels like he failed the whole galaxy. He failed his sister. He failed his nephew.
And what better to do when you fail than to give up completely and let the universe fall apart?
Yeah, that's honestly probably what I would do.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I'd be like, all right, I'm out.
Bye. Oops.
But Rey is not letting him have this moment, and she says he didn't fail Kylo. Kylo failed him, which I think is really interesting. And then she says, but I won't.
Yeah. And she said something to, she needs someone to show her her place in this.
Yeah, because she's got all of this darkness inside her, and if he just lets it go, then she's going to be evil. And he's like, not my problem. So then, meanwhile, we cut back to the Resistance for a little bit. They're still avoiding the range of the Star Killer, which is definitely using up a lot of their gas. Well, I don't know if it's gas. Whatever their fuel source is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's probably not gas.
Corn.
But Hux says that this is the beginning of their end, and they start blowing up, I guess their support ships is what it is.
I think they have 3 ships in total, their main ship and 2 supports. So yeah, they're going for the supports first.
And one of the soldiers says that the fuel reserves are at 6 hours, and oh, that was your girl, Leia's daughter.
Yeah.
And Holdo says to keep going, steady on. And the soldier makes a face to insinuate that she feels that Holdo is wrong for this. But literally, what else can she do at this moment? She doesn't have any other information.
Yeah, I think that retreat makes the most sense here.
Yeah, without anybody giving her help, which everybody is refusing to do because they want to see her fail instead of wanting to save everybody. I mean, how many lives do you think Poe and his little band of traitors could have saved if they had told her the plan from the start?
I'm keeping my mouth shut on that for the time being.
But it does absolutely infuriate me because I hate that.
Yes, me too.
So back to the casino jail, and Rose and Finn are talking amongst themselves. Rose says that there's not much time left, and Finn is like, well, unless you have a thief in your pocket, our plan is shot. And someone in the corner, a little shadowy corner, is like, I can do it. And they're like, what? Who's talking? And this guy sits up and he's like, oh, sorry, I overheard you while you were talking incredibly loud while I was trying to sleep. So sorry about that. But yeah, I'm a thief. I can help you out. And they're like, no thanks. And Finn is like, we don't need a pickpocket. Which, dude, you're desperate. You should take what you can get.
Yeah, come on.
Also, I do want to say they did not say his name in this section. The subtitles referred to him as DJ, so I just wrote that down.
Yeah, that's fine. Me too.
Okay.
I don't know if they ever say it, to be honest.
Really?
Dude, I don't know.
That is so dumb.
I hate this character.
My biggest gripe with Star Wars is that they don't tell you everything you need to know.
No, never. Why would they?
So then DJ, who we never know his name, but his name is DJ, is like, all right. And then he just opens the gate to the jail and just walks out. And then Finn and Rose are like, did he just open the gate? And then they run out in the other direction. So then DJ runs into BB-8, who has tied up all of the guards. So honestly, Finn and Rose would have gotten out anyway.
Yeah.
Because he was about to take care of them.
But also my question is, if he could have gotten out at any point, why was he sitting in jail?
Yeah. Well, he was trying to sleep.
True. True. That makes sense.
Nothing beats a good nap.
Yeah, he gets arrested so he can have a place to sleep. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, that's as good a place as any, right?
Yeah.
So then another guard comes up while BB-8 and DJ are standing there figuring out their situation, and BB-8 starts pelting him with coins, and then DJ knocks him out, and then he starts grabbing all the money that he can.
Oh my gosh.
So interesting little alliance forming over here. But I also found it so annoying that the guard was felled to a bunch of coins. What kind of guard is he?
I think it was just supposed to be comic relief of everyone putting coins into BB-8.
Yeah. So then we see that Finn and Rose went through the sewers and they are headed to the stables where the fathiers are. And they are super cute.
They are really cute.
And Rose opens the gate for one of them, and there's a kid in the pen with him, and he's about to sound what I assume is an alarm. And Rose is like, wait, stop, we're with the resistance. And then there's a bunch of little kids, like little jockeys, that are excited about it.
Yeah.
And then the guards get to the stables, but all the fathiers are escaping, and one of the kids is like whooping and cheering as they leave, which I have a little bit of a problem with because aren't the kids going to be punished?
Yes.
Okay.
They are going to be punished.
Probably going to get killed.
I don't know why they didn't come with. That's what.
Yeah.
Like, why did they leave them behind?
That was my big problem too, to be totally honest.
Yeah. I mean, I have a problem with this whole side quest.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate every second of it.
I don't know. It just feels like a short-term solution that doesn't have a long-term solution, because at one point the guards are like, just let the fathiers go. Let's focus on the bad guys. But I'm just thinking they're just going to get captured again, aren't they?
Again, yeah, because how big is this planet?
Doesn't seem very big. None of them are.
Yeah.
They're all just city-sized.
I have to hold my tongue on why this annoys me so much until we finish the movie, because it's hard to explain it until you see how it all sort of like
comes together.
Concludes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, on the little joyride, Rose is loving it and Finn is screaming like, stop enjoying this, stop enjoying this. Which again, me and you.
Yeah. Oh, we're Finn and Rose.
Yeah, we're very cute. And they crash through the casino. There's a whole long gratuitous shots of them disrupting the rich people's happiness. And I wrote, how are they going to fit all of these horses? I just kept on writing them down as horses because that's what they are. How are they going to all fit into a ship? But my question was answered because the ship just gets blown up.
Yeah.
So then they start climbing up a cliff, and the fathier that is holding on to Finn and Rose, he veers off from the crowd. The guards let the herd go because they know they're probably going to capture them later anyway, which they don't say, but I feel like that's the situation.
It's pretty obvious, yeah.
And then they almost fall off the edge of a cliff and they're trapped. And then Finn is like, it was worth it though, because we saved all their lives. Did you though? I don't know.
I don't think they did. And they probably got those kids in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. And then Rose gets the saddle off of the one horse and is like, go. Now it's worth it. Which, again,
Is it?
I still don't think it is.
Yeah. How far are they going to get? Not that far.
But conveniently, a giant ship shows up and BB-8 pops out. And they're like, wait, BB-8, did you just pilot this ship? And then DJ is like, oh no, I helped. We're pals now. So then they get onto the ship and they fly off.
Yay.
So back at Jedi Island, is there a name for that I'm missing?
Yeah, the island's called Octu, but do you think they ever say it?
No, why would they say it?
Why would they say it?
I'm just going to call it Jedi Island. And Luke is on that same little cliff again where he had Rey meditating, and he seems to be feeling the Force. And he sees Leia in her coma, ? And she whispers, Luke. And he's like, Leia. And then we also see Rey. She's walking around at night, and then we get this like feeling kind of situation. I don't know what the audio cue was there, but it feels like something happened.
There's something. Yeah. The audio is different too. When they're talking to each other, there's some sort of effect on the audio.
Like a little echo. And she's like, I'd rather not do this now. And then she turns around and it's Kylo. And he's like, yeah, me too. And he's in his own quarters and she's on the island, but they have this magical connection. And Rey is like, why'd you hate your father? And then she realizes that he's not wearing a shirt. And she's like, ooh, can you cover that up? Which honestly, please cover up.
Yeah. This part is funny because fans hate this. They're like, why is he not wearing a shirt?
Hate it.
I feel like I found a slight reason in this watch through.
So she can be attracted to him?
No, so you could see how far she cut him. She cut him like down his chest.
Oh yeah, I did think that was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't love seeing him shirtless.
No, I didn't love it either. It's not for me.
I'm surprised to hear that from you. I thought that you would be excited.
I have a thing with Kylo and Rey where I love this. As I said, I love it, but I don't necessarily find it romantic. I find their relationship to be something else, not romance.
I don't know that I found it to be romantic, but I get it because I think that when you have a very strong connection with somebody, it can be perceived that way.
Yes.
But I feel like it's a little bit beyond romantic, but if they did get together, I wouldn't be mad.
I kind of consider them like twin flames, where it's like just because you're a twin flame doesn't necessarily mean it's a romantic love connection that you share.
Is that a thing? You can have a twin flame friend?
I think so, yeah. I think a twin flame can be sort of any sort of deep connection.
I'm going to be honest. I don't fully know what a twin flame is. I just know Megan Fox said it a bunch of times.
Well, she was wrong, obviously. They broke up this week.
Did they?
Yeah.
I don't keep up on it.
Here's a new section called Celebrity Gossip with Kelli and Leah. Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly have broken up. End of segment.
I always wanted to like Machine Gun Kelly because my name is Kelly.
Spelled differently.
But
though.
I found out that's not even his name.
His name is not Kelly. I don't know what his name is.
Oh, I don't either. Anywho, back to this love connection. That's actually just a friend twin flame connection. She asked him again why he hated his father. And she goes on this like little mini rant where she's like, you had a father who loved you, who gave a damn about you. And he's like, I didn't hate him. And she says, then why? And they go back and forth a little bit. But eventually she's like, why did you kill him? And then Kylo says that Rey's parents threw her away like garbage, but she still can't stop needing them. And they're her greatest weakness, which is such an interesting reasoning that he gives her for why he would have killed Han Solo.
I think it's more he's deflecting because I think he's upset with himself. I think that he's not ready to face what he did. So rather than answer her question, he's just projecting back onto her. Is like, you're looking for family in everyone you meet.
I find it so interesting that he's so self-assured when he's with her, even though as soon as we don't see them together, there's so much conflict in him. Very, very compelling, as you said.
Love it.
But then Kylo asks if Luke told her what happened that night. And she says yes. And he's like, no. And then we see a little flashback moment where it turns out that Luke was going to kill Kylo.
Yeah. And this is so interesting because in this moment when we see it from Ben's perspective, I love this because I wouldn't necessarily call it an unreliable narrator. I would just call it
two perspectives.
Yeah, perspective. So this first time we're seeing it, when Ben is looking up at Luke, he is enraged on his face and he's holding a lightsaber and he's ready to come down. So it was cool seeing it this way and then later seeing it a a different way.
Yeah, so we actually ended up seeing it 3 different ways.
Yeah.
We saw the first way where Luke was kind of deflecting on what happened. Then we see this moment where Ben sees somebody about to kill him and defends himself and runs away. And then we'll see the third part, which I won't spoil yet.
Yeah.
But Rey is tearing up and she calls him a liar. And Kylo says, let the past die. Kill it if you have to. That's the only way to become what you're meant to be, which is powerful stuff. And then Rey is like, what a great time to check out the darkness. So she goes to the dark hole on Jedi Island and she falls into it. She falls into the water, but then she pulls herself up onto land into a cavern.
Definitely a cavern.
And there is what looks like a great natural mirror type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, how do I explain this? It's just a very trippy moment.
Yeah, it's hard to explain. I don't even know how I interpret it, but I kind of think it's like you're searching for answers, but the answers are within you. As far as you look, all you're ever going to see is yourself. Your past doesn't matter. Your future doesn't matter. All that matters is the here and now. Her seeing herself back and forth. That's my interpretation of it. But I have no idea what they were going for.
We actually got what I thought at first was voiceover, and I was going to be so furious that they just randomly introduced voiceover, but it was her recounting it.
And who did you think she was talking to?
I thought she was talking to Luke.
I thought she was talking to Luke too. The first time I watched it, I remember when it was revealed she was talking to Kylo, I was like, oh, she's going dark. Yeah. She's going dark.
Yeah.
Oh, so powerful. I loved it.
That's exactly what I thought too. Yeah. Very well done. So one part that happens during the trippy moment is she is whispering, let me see my parents, please. And then this figure comes up to the glass and touches her reflection, and it turns out to just be her. And then she's explaining the story to who we think for a second is Luke. And then she says, I never felt so alone. And then it's revealed that it's Kylo. And he says, you're not alone. Ooh.
That was such a good moment of
such a good moment.
Misdirecting the audience. Loved that so much.
And then Rey says, and neither are you. And then we see that Luke is calling out for Rey, and he sees that her hut is lit up with candlelight. And Rey is telling Kylo that it's not too late. She holds out her hand to him, and he takes off his glove, and they have a really gratuitous hand touch, which
a little lightly touching each other.
A little hand touch, a little touch. And Luke walks in and he sees Kylo and Rey, like Kylo sitting there touching hands, and he screams stop, and he uses the Force to basically blow up the hut. And then Kylo disappears, and Rey asks, is it true that you tried to kill him? And Luke is like, leave this island now, and he starts walking away. But then Rey grabs her staff and hits him and knocks him down, and she's like, is it true? And then they start having a little battle of staffs in the rain, and Rey pulls out the lightsaber and he falls back again. And then Luke tells his side of the story, which is the third version of this flashback that we see. So very cool storytelling here. But basically, Luke says that he saw the darkness building in Ben, and he looked inside and it was beyond what he ever imagined, and that Snoke had already turned him, and for a brief instinctive moment, he thought that he could stop it. So we see him in the flashback turning on his lightsaber, but then it passed like a shadow and he was left with shame, and Kylo did turn and see him, and Luke says the last thing he saw were the eyes of a frightened boy whose master had failed him.
That's so sad.
Yeah. So we see the same memory, but in this one, Luke is yelling, Ben, no, before he gets buried under the rubble.
And in this perspective, he has the lightsaber out, but he's not actively trying to use it. He's looking at it.
Furious.
Deciding he made a mistake, but it's too late because Ben already saw it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that in itself, I would say is a huge betrayal. So I totally get where Ben was coming from in that moment.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it was this crazy misunderstanding that just blew up in their faces because Ben was already flirting with the dark side, and then when that happens, it's just sort of like he's going for it. And then I think you get a lot more insight into the shame that Luke was feeling, because now he has to explain all this to Leia. Oh, I tried to kill your son.
Yeah.
Oops.
Yeah, I was thinking about it.
It is interesting, though. I mean, watching it again this time, I feel like it makes a little bit more sense, but I have always felt it was so out of character for Luke to ever choose that route to kill him, because Vader was like years and years and years of doing all this horrible stuff, and Luke couldn't kill him, and he didn't even know him. He literally didn't even know him. He was just learning, this person's my father. Well, now that I know he's my father, I can't kill him. But he knew Ben. He probably watched him grow up, and he's able to make that decision to kill him. It, to me, feels a little out of character and sort of just convenient writing rather than truly thinking of what actions this character would take. So I have issues with it, but whatever. It's already there, so.
Honestly, I was on the same page as you until these recollections that we see, because at first I was thinking the same thing. That's why I said in this section, I feel like my mind changed a little bit, because I do feel like Luke is prone to random bouts of weak will. And I think in that one moment, just for a second, like he said, an instinctive moment, he was thinking about killing him, but then he stopped. And I think it was just terrible timing.
Yeah, I think so too.
And I can imagine now that he had so much shame in him from even having that experience, not necessarily Ben turning evil, but the fact that he truly is the reason that this happened, because he could have potentially trained it out of him, but it was that moment of weakness that caused Ben to destroy the temple and run away and really put him on the path to the dark side. And now I totally get where Luke is coming from.
Yeah.
So then Rey says that you failed him by thinking his choice was made, but it wasn't, and there's actually still conflict in him. And she says that they can win if they turn him to the light. And she said when they touched hands, she actually saw his future, and she knows that if she goes to Ben, that he's going to turn.
It really mirrors what happened in the first trilogy, where Luke basically turns himself in, lets Vader take him to the Emperor, because in his heart he knew that when the moment came, Vader would choose him over the Emperor. And I think Rey is now doing the same.
Yeah.
She thinks that in that moment, he will choose her over Snoke.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, Luke is not seeing this parallel, and he says, don't do this. And Rey holds out the lightsaber again to him, but he doesn't take it. And then she says, then he's our last hope. And then she leaves the island.
Love that.
And then Luke seems to walk off and look very determined. And I thought that he was going to follow her, but that is not what he is determined to do. And we see Yoda through the Force. And I was so happy to see him. I freaking love Yoda. He's the best. And Luke tells him that he's going to burn everything down. He's going to burn down the sacred tree and the text and all that stuff. And he goes up to do it, but then he hesitates. And then Yoda, the absolute baddie that he is, gets a lightning strike down on this sacred tree / cavern, and it goes on fire. And then Yoda starts cracking up hysterically. Like, he's just having the best time. And he's like, oh, I've missed you, Luke Skywalker. And Luke tries to go into the cavern, but he's thrown back from an explosion. And then he's like, so it is time for it to end. And Yoda's like, time it is for you to look past a pile of old books. Got him.
I love this.
And then Luke is like, those were sacred Jedi texts. And Yoda's like, oh, did you read them?
He's like, yeah, they're real page turners.
And Luke is like, yeah. And Yoda's just ripping on them. And he said the library holds nothing that Rey doesn't already possess. And he says, Skywalker, always look into the horizon, never here now.
And I love this moment and this lesson that we get from Yoda. And I think it goes back to kind of what I was saying about Rey and Kylo being allowed to explore the darkness. And I feel like Yoda is almost giving that permission too, where it's like, why are you listening to what these old books are saying? Look at the here and now, live in the moment, see what's right in front of you, grow and learn. You know, just because these texts existed and the Jedi existed the way that they did however long ago doesn't mean that that's how the Jedi need to function now. There could be a new way to do things.
And I actually think, to disprove your earlier point, I think that this moment with Yoda is proof that it was in line with Luke's character to do what he has done. Because Yoda is like, this is just you again, making your rash decisions.
Yeah, not thinking things through.
Being dumb and not thinking things through. Yeah. So he does say, lose Ben Solo you did, lose Rey you must not. And Luke says, I can't be what she needs me to be. And Yoda says, pass on what you've learned, including failure. Which, again, Yoda is just an absolute G.
You have to show them failure. You have to show them the bad stuff. Because if you hide that from them, they're going to turn to the dark side, you know?
And then Yoda says my favorite line, which is, the greatest teacher failure is.
Which is so true.
And then I wrote, I effing love Yoda.
Yeah.
Because I do.
Mhm.
He's the best.
Yeah. I'm so glad you changed your mind.
Oh, me too. But nothing could have prepared me for that voice.
Yeah. But now it's just like
A part of him.
normal. That's just what Yoda sounds like.
Yeah. Have I ever told you my like SpongeBob theory?
No, but I'm interested.
So I feel like, and I don't know, maybe this is just our generation, but we grew up with SpongeBob. So there was never a point where we looked at SpongeBob for the first time and were like, what is this weird thing?
What is that voice?
Yeah. But I always say, like, imagine either a person who has never been exposed to pop culture or an alien species that sees SpongeBob for the first time and is like, what is that nasty sponge with a face and that lip and the voice? And that was my experience with seeing Yoda for the first time, because everybody else has like grown up with him and knew what he looked like and knew what he sounded like.
Yeah.
And I'm just experiencing him for the first time and I'm just blown away.
Totally blown away. I love that you brought up SpongeBob. There's something I keep meaning to send you that somebody sent me, but the voice actor who does SpongeBob and the voice actor who does Patrick got together and voiced over a scene of The Lord of the Rings playing Frodo and Sam, but like in the SpongeBob and Patrick voice. And it's the funniest thing ever. And I need to send it to you because I know you're a big SpongeBob guy.
Yeah, I am a big SpongeBob fan. That's where my SpongeBob theory came from. I spend too much time thinking about theories about random cartoons.
Yeah.
I'll tell you my Danny Phantom theory sometime.
Ooh, exciting. Love Danny Phantom.
Anyway, we're back to Rose and Finn traveling through hyperspace with our pal DJ.
Is he our pal?
He could be.
Maybe.
We don't know yet. He has a stutter, and I kind of like that.
Yeah.
That is just part of him. Never acknowledged.
It might be the actor, but I could be wrong about it.
Oh, really? Then I like that even more. I love when there's like a representation of something that in TV and film would be pointed out as like a weird other, but is just a character trait. That's it. I love it.
Me too.
So they're traveling through hyperspace and Rose is like, you can do this, right? And he is starting to negotiate with them on a price because he's not a good guy,
Yeah.
but it's fine. And Rose is like, when we're done, the resistance will give you whatever you want. And he was like, well, what do you have deposit wise? And Finn says, are you kidding? Look at us. And DJ notices Rose's crescent moon necklace and he wants it. And Finn is like, you have our word. You're going to get paid once this is all over. But then Rose throws him the necklace and she's like, do it. And then we cut to him rummaging through the ship and Finn goes to him and he's like, give the medallion back. You don't know how much it means to her. Which I'm like, okay, Finn is just desperate for somebody to love him.
Yeah, I think it again shows the difference between like Finn and Rose's character in terms of their willingness to help the resistance. She's willing to give away the last thing she has of her sister in honor of her sister, to say, this is what we need to do for the, well, I don't know if this is what they need to do for the resistance, but this is what they think they need to do for the resistance. And she's willing to part with it. It doesn't matter to her. But for Finn, these material possessions mean a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, they don't, because the universe is more important than that.
Yeah.
And Rose's head is in the game and Finn's is a little out of the game.
Yeah. And then Finn asks something which really actually just made me smack my own head, because he's like, why are you ransacking your own ship? Did you
Dude,
really
are you
think
serious?
that
Yeah.
this was his ship?
Come on. That was obvious.
Yeah. Were we even supposed to think that at any point?
That's the craziest ship for this guy to just like own. He's a criminal.
That infuriated me because sometimes I feel like there's a lot of telling, not showing, where a character will be like, you stole this ship, instead of showing them stealing the ship. But I feel like they did show it.
Yeah, I felt like it was obvious.
They tied up the guards and they stole a ship.
Yeah.
What else was supposed to happen there?
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, then Finn is like, well, at least you're stealing from the bad guys and helping the good guys. And then DJ gives him a really interesting lesson, basically showing him that not everything is so black and white. And he pulls up the previous owner of the ship and reveals that the previous owner sold weapons to both good guys and bad guys. And Finn is blown away.
Yeah.
Because Finn thinks that everything is just good or bad.
Yeah.
So meanwhile, the absolute worst part of this section so far
my gosh. Agreed.
happens back at the resistance ship, and the last support ship just got blown up and their fuel is critical, and Poe storms onto the bridge, ignoring the woman who says he's banned, and he goes up to Holdo, who is not impressed with him.
She calls him Flyboy, which I love. I don't know why. It's such a silly name to call him.
He starts yelling at her and he's like, we need a plan. And she calms him down for a second. She says this really cool line that Leia used to say, hope is like the sun. If you only believe it when you can see it, you'll never make it through the night.
Yeah.
And at first he seems pretty pretty chagrined about it. And I'm like, okay, finally, he's realizing that she knows what she's doing. But nope, he notices that she is fueling up the transports and he starts going on a rant in front of everybody. And he's like, we're abandoning ship. They're unarmed, unshielded. If we abandon this cruiser, we're done. And he says, you're worse than I don't remember what he called her.
He called her a coward and a traitor.
A coward. Yeah. He says, you're worse than a coward. You're a traitor.
She's trying to save them. What is...
Yeah.
Angry. I hate it.
And then she has him taken away.
And he's like breaking stuff. He's like throwing things.
He threw a whole Kylo tantrum.
I know. What is that? That is not his character.
And for whatever reason, everyone on the bridge was like, wow, this angry guy who needs therapy is right.
Let's follow this angry dude.
Yeah, this irrationally angry man. So then Poe tells Finn over a comm what's going on, and Finn says, we're so close, we just need a little bit more time. And then Rey is getting ready to leave in a pod. I wasn't sure what was happening until it already happened, but she's telling Chewie what to do, just stop, let her off, and then keep going. I thought that she was going to the good guys.
Oh, no. Going straight to
but
Kylo.
It turns out she is going to Kylo's ship, and he sees her, and then he walks away, and then stormtroopers come up to her little pod with handcuffs.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You missed a whole moment.
Did I miss a whole moment?
I thought you were going to be infuriated by this because Rey says to Chewie, if you see Finn before I do, tell him. And then Chewie goes, "Rah!" And she's like, yeah, that's perfect. Tell him that.
Yeah. And you know what he said during that?
No idea.
We'll have to bleep it out because it was inappropriate.
Yeah, it was really inappropriate.
No, I loved that moment. I thought that was great.
I thought you wanted to know what she said, though. I thought you'd want to know.
Listen, I have an imagination. I can come up with something. Don't worry.
Oh my God.
I had a feeling I knew what it was going to be.
Oh, man.
So then DJ is explaining the plan to get through the First Order shield, and they manage to do it. There's basically just like a little blip on the radar, and it goes away, and they get onto the ship. And they, I guess, steal stormtrooper outfits. Not stormtrooper.
Well, they're not stormtrooper, whatever they
First
are.
Order bad guy outfits.
How, though? Who knows?
They don't say.
No.
And I guess it doesn't matter.
Yep.
They have a little convenient area where they have a bunch of uniforms just in case anybody sneaks onto the ship.
Yeah.
And then finally we see Poe telling Holdo the plan too little too late, and she's pissed at him for putting everybody at risk and also for not telling her the plan sooner, because if he had told her the plan from the start, that would have been her only choice. Obviously she would have done it. Now she's in a position where she has to be called the bad guy because she doesn't know that he had that plan.
Right, because if she had told them the plan before they did it, maybe they could have brainstormed a better plan. But now that she's hearing the plan, she's like, two doofuses are off doing this.
Yeah.
The one's a mechanic and the one's some dude who was in a coma like a day ago. Why am I going to trust them to do this correctly?
And then Poe pulls out a freaking gun.
Blaster.
On Holdo. And guess what? A bunch of other people do too. Blaster, whatever.
So stupid.
And he relieves her of her command, and she's like, I hope you know what you're doing. Which, honestly, I have never been more angry in my life.
Trust me, same.
If I were to choose between watching Padme and Anakin make out and watching this moment, I would choose to watch them make out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, I hate this so much. It makes no sense whatsoever.
And then we see Rey in handcuffs with Kylo on an elevator, and she's like, you don't have to do this. I felt the conflict in you. And also, notably, she calls him Ben.
Yeah, and he reacts
Kylo.
to it too, because it was a close-up shot on him when she says Ben, and he turns. So he still responds to that name, which I thought was a really intentional moment to show it to us that way.
And she says that when they touched hands, she saw his future, and she knows that he's going to turn back to the good side. And then he tells her he actually saw something too. He saw her turn to the dark side.
Oof.
And he says, I saw who your parents are, which my favorite moment in this film so far was him saying that and her being scared. But like, come on, tell us who they are.
Yeah.
Who are they? I'm racking my brain. Is it Chewie?
Yeah.
Chewie and Maz?
Yeah. Chewie and Maz are her parents.
I knew it. But yeah, so she starts backing up, but then the elevator door opens and there is Snoke, and he's praising Kylo for getting her, and he says, my faith in you is restored. And then he says, welcome, Rey. And that is where I had to stop, unfortunately, even though I'm dying to know what happens next.
Me too. Just kidding. I know.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
What's your prediction? Tell
My
me.
prediction, I'm going to have to bleep this though.
Well, Well, you can tell me. You can trust me.
Yeah, I'll tell you.
But yeah, my thoughts on what's going to happen next. I'm sure Holdo is going to go to jail for being an evil person who is a traitor.
No, we love Holdo.
I don't want that to happen, but I think it's going to happen because Poe's going to end up being right and saving the world, and everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, Poe, you should have been the guy. It shouldn't have been Holdo, that dumb lady with her purple hair. And I'm going to throw my screen against the wall.
Gosh, I'm interested for you to see the end.
I also think that Kylo is going to continue being bad, and then at the last second, kind of like how Vader and Luke were, he's going to change his mind and be good, and that's going to be like the last moment of the film.
Yeah.
And then the third film is probably his redemption arc, and he's going to be Ben again. But he did kill both of his parents, so.
Do you think Luke is going to leave the island?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel like that was implied when Yoda was talking to him, is that he's going to show up. But he's probably going to show up in like a heroic moment where it's going to be like somebody's about to die. They've got the sword or the lightsaber or whatever on them. And then it's going to be like, bah, and it's going to look over and it's going to be Luke and he's going to be like, forgetting something or whatever classic line, and he's going to have his lightsaber. So I'm sure that'll happen.
Yeah. That's a good prediction. I like it.
Thank you.
Do you think Rose and Finn are going to succeed?
I think they're going to fall in love. Just kidding. Honestly, though, would be fine with it.
Yeah, it's interesting how they set up all these kind of romances in the first film, and then the second film, they're like, throw it all away.
What romance?
Well, I mean,
romance? We don't like that here.
Yeah, they're like, let's throw away everything we set up in the first film and just do something totally different.
Oh, you thought Poe was charming and roguish? No, he's actually not a great guy.
He's actually a dummy who is a traitor and a treasonous.
And you know what? He doesn't deserve Rey or Finn.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't deserve either of them. So Rey and Finn can get together, or Rey can get with Kylo and Finn can get with Rose, and I'd be perfectly fine with that.
Yeah, and then Poe can just think about what he's done.
Yeah, Poe can just hang out in jail.
It's so sad because I really love him in the first film, and then this film he's just...
Yeah. You know what's weird? From the first moment I saw him in this film, I was like, something's off.
You felt the dark energy coming from him.
I felt the dark side of the Force in him. Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have to predict. Is there anything else I'm leaving out? Any loose ends?
No, I like it all. I'm excited for you to finish it.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going to happen in movie 3, except for I do think it's going to be a Kylo redemption arc. And they are going to have to defeat Snoke.
Yeah, they have to defeat Snoke. And Hux.
Ooh, is Hux going to survive to the next film? Yes, he is.
We haven't seen like a ton of him in this film. I feel like he's kind of been more of a side character of just sort of updating us on what's going on.
Yeah, but my prediction will be when Kylo switches over to the good people, then Hux is going to have to basically take his place as like the leader of the baddies.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, I guess we'll come back next week and finish the movie.
I'm excited.
All right, we will see you next week, all of the fans of Rey and Shirley Solo.
Yeah. What would their ship name be?
Shirpwreck.
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 The Shirpwrecks. Yeah, I love it.
The Shirpwrecks. Yeah. I think it's a good name. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you guys next week.
Bye. You've been listening to the It's All Geek to Me podcast, hosted by Leah and Kelly. Make sure to hit subscribe in your favorite podcast player and give us a rating. You can also follow us on Twitter at All Geek Podcast. New episodes drop every Thursday. See you next week.